In this video I'll show you how you connect the Figaf tool to your integration suite or CPI system. First off, yes, let's get started. We can connect to CPI Cloud Integration. We do have two different ways we can connect. We can connect with the S user if it does not use a universal ID, at least on Cloud Foundry. And then the better way for integration suite or Cloud Foundry is to use the API keys to get that done. And then you need two API keys, API and message send. So we can invoke both the API and message send. And then we need a custom SAML provider. The reason we need the custom SAML provider is we are using some of the public or the web APIs that the CPI or Cloud Integration is exposing. These are not available in the public API, so that is the reason we need this. This is actually the data that you need to fill in for this to work, but we have a guide to make it easier for you. And here's how to create the service keys. I guess you know how to create service keys, so that should be easy. So let's get started. So the first thing is we go to the Figaf tool. We go into our agents, and that's not one more. Localhost 8089. We go to create agent. Here we say create CPI agent, and then we're getting up this demo here. So we can call it dev CI, and here we can either use a integration suite or Neo or the integration suite URL. But let's find our integration suite here. We have it. So the idea is you would actually log into it here. Normal URL you would be using. The other part of it doesn't really matter. We're not using that. We just skip away and wanting to find the host. But you can put whatever you have in here. Then we need the API key. If you have an S user, you can just fill this in. But we will take the API key. To get this, you go back to here in the instance of subscriptions. You will create a new API key here. We have one here. We will just say view and say copy JSON. We go back to the Figaf tool, paste it and pass it. And now we can see we fetch all of the relevant data that here. This is also the public URL that you would need to use if you're using integration suite. Then this is the URL that you would need here. Then we do the same thing. So the API works, and then we need the message API. And this works much the same way. Here we just have the message API. Here we obviously need to have the role ESB message send for this to work. We copy the JSON, log in, pass, and say next. Quote. Okay, so now this is the little, unfortunately, the more tricky part. Here's a good guide to how to get this done. So we have created the service key. Then we need to fetch the correct value for this, setting up the SAML connectivity. So the first thing is we go back to our cockpit here. We go under the trust configuration. Here we download the SAML metadata. We open this, and as it says here, we need to find the one that says HTTP post. We just search for this, and this is the one of the last one, and we need the one that says default true. So this is the URL you would normally go to, and this is the logout and log assertion community server. So we need this one, we put it in here, and then the next part is we download this. This is the entity description. This is a certificate about how to connect with this one, and a certificate consists of a private key and public key. The private key is stored in the Figaf tool in the database, encrypted. And then you have the certificate that you download here, the public certificate. And what we then do is we go to the Figaf tool, we add a new trust configuration. Here we will select it. Figaf training. We said remove the available for logon, because then you will, whenever you're using, you will have the option to see this, and we don't really want that. We say save. So if we check this Figaf training here, we can see that it exists. And what we need to do is we need to go to the role collection, and this is also documented in here what roles you need to assign. It needs to have the PI administrator. You need to use groups and equals admin. So we go back here. We select the PI admin. We select groups, admin, say pass. We create a new one. Business expert. And the last one is integration developers. And press save. So that was all we needed to do. Now we can go back here, we can press next. And we can see it's okay. Do we want to create a sample landscape for this? This is okay. This is a good way to get started and understand landscape. You can always delete it later. Now that's been created, and then we can select 3 packages just so it's a little easier for us to get started. We select them, press OK, and then we can press synchronize button to synchronize these 3 objects. The reason we added this 3 limit is just to make it easier. So if you have a large system with hundreds of iFlows, in the beginning you just want a simple one of these to be downloaded. And then that is good. Cool. So now we can, in here, we can see all the different objects that we have in our SAP systems and what they look like. For instance, here we have an iFlow that is called start, HTTP with start. We can go here, we can edit this. I'm not sure what this, this is where we're checking some different things. We can add a new parameter, test 1, save as version. Okay. The next thing we also guess makes sense in this context is synchronization. Synchronization is where we're fetching all the data and we save the different versions for this in the Figaf tool, so you can go back and forth. You can set this up on the agent level to synchronize and schedule that synchronization every 4 hours. We do have a way to make some of these processes a little easier, and this is CPI Helper to get that. And yeah, you probably know CPI Helper. It's an excellent plugin that you deploy on your CPI tenant or in your Chrome browser or Edge. It allows you to do all kind of things, navigate faster when dealing with cloud integration development. With Figaf, we have added plugins to it to simplify the processing. So you can navigate to the Figaf tool, you can trigger synchronization and test cases. We will be continuously using that because, yeah, it just makes life a lot easier. So here we do have how to activate it. Normally it will just say to activate. You will enter the URL for it. If you have the same tenant with multiple URLs, you can add it here. That's probably just on our test system that is a problem. But what happens is now I can go click on messages. I can actually, I can press synchronize here. And then I get back to the Figaf tool. And what I can then do is it will synchronize this specific iflow that's a problem, or that has changed accordingly. It took like 1 second. We can check it. We can do our versioning, where you can see, okay, what has been changed between these two versions, and we can do that in a number of different ways. We can use the graphical layout. So it says there is something here, and we can scroll down and see what was changed in these ones. I think there must be added a new row and also in this one. So here we added a new row with a constant value. So it is really easy to see where we have added some changes into it. We can also div to HTML if we want to know more about what are the codes behind it. And here we can see some of the challenges about seeing what has been changed in the BPMN model, because that is not really easy. Another short trick is if you have an object, you can click on here to open it in directly in Cloud Integration. You have the option here to take scenario documentation. Scenario documentation is a way that you can use if you want to document something. What is the center URL? What are the different test cases we have? What are the flow? What are the configurations? And what are the different resources that exist in this iflow? So it gives you a good understanding of the current setup and what can be used there. So that is the different things I just wanted to show you have here. If we just go back to the agent settings here, we can see that there's a number of different settings. We have virtual, means that we should no longer fetch data from the system. Productive system, if it is a productive system, you want to switch this on so we do not send test messages to it. There can be cases where you do not want to run tests on a given system. And then we have something about if the data has confidential data, you want to set this tag. That means all test cases created on that will be marked as confidential, and they can only be run on system that is marked as secured systems. Then we have the way you're sending data to the OAuth login URL. You can enable monitoring, message polling, monitored message. Enable automatic synchronization. This will enable you to synchronize using a groovy cron expression, making it some of these things a little easier. So that's what we have. If we needed to do it with a PI on Neo, it is a lot easier. CPI dev Neo. Our system is called this, so I'll just take this URL. I think. Oh, where did you go? Here. So here we'll just put in the URL here. It's a Neo system, so we need to add a user. We need to get the password. The API is connected successful, so the only thing we just need here is the endpoint that we can reach this on, and obviously the user shouldn't have ESB message, and then this would then be this host. Let's see if it's on host or URL. So it's the URL for it. And yeah, some point in time we could probably figure this one out ourselves. So now it's up and running. Is users used for all of that? We can check it. Now we can see it is connected. We can select 3 packages, and these are different. And now that was actually all we needed to do to connect to a Neo system. So really easy to connect to Neo systems also, or a lot easier. You just need a normal S user with access to these systems, and then you're good to go. And you can use Universal ID, no problems there. And here we got access to all the data. So I hope you found this useful. So see you in the next video.